Alright everybody, so this is the frame that goes on the front of the boat, and it's just made from PVC. I use the gray stuff, because it's rated for outdoor use. And white PVC can get fragile when it gets really cold, so I went with the gray. Since, duck season is really in the winter time. But all it is these round pieces here are made for running electrical wire through, so it's not a hard 90. They pre-make these. You can just buy them in where they sell the PVC. They have a whole pile of these with all the other pieces, the joints, and then I just put it together so it makes this shape. And these bars here are fiberglass driveway markers. I got these at Home Depot also. And what they do is hold the fabric out away like a tent frame, so that when I'm pedaling and raising and lowering the drive, none of the fabric sags into that area. That holds it all out of there. And when it's on the boat, these are more vertical because this is under pressure. And when you put that pressure on there, it makes those fiberglass bow out even farther. So when it's installed in the boat, they'll be bowed out like this, because these parts here go into the tracks, and then this mounts to the bow, and I'll show you how I did that now. Alright, so this piece here, I heated up with a heat gun, and then just smashed it in my vise till it was flat, and then I heated it up and changed it until this angle matched what I needed to on here, and it heats up really easy. You could use boiling water or a heat gun, or you can use a torch. You just have to be very careful. If it starts turning brown, you've overheated it and it can become fragile. it'll start cracking. But PVC heats up and molds really easily. So, all right, so this is how I mounted it to the front of my Old Town. If I came off a 90 with this piece here, I probably could have come up with some kind of a clamp that would go to the handle. But what I did was I just modified the drain plug. It comes like this. There's a little tab on the top for unscrewing it. So I just I bought an extra one, and I filed that off, made it nice and flat, and then I drilled a hole in the end. And then in the bottom of it, I epoxied in a 1/4-20 coupler nut. It's a longer nut, about that long. And then when I screw that into the drain plug hole, it gives me a threaded hole for this front piece. And when those are on the track, this won't fall off like that. And then I can screw that piece in. Just screw right down into there, and then those the back pieces are in the track slots with the Kayak knobs, and that's how the whole thing mounts to the boat. So I didn't drill any extra holes in the boat other than I just got an extra plug, and those aren't very expensive. So all I've done was installed like this little metal bracket I got at Home Depot. It's just some kind of woodworking bracket, and I just mount that to the track on my Topwater with a Kayak knob and T-bolt. So alright, so this part was kind of like the trickiest part, and that's only because you have to heat up this little piece here to get this to stay vertical. And I couldn't find any pre-made pieces that would fit, because the rod holders go down towards the center. They're like at a weird angle. And not only are they at an angle like this, they're also tilted towards the center. So you're going to have to get your your part to fit in the hole, and then bend these with heat to match up with the rest of it. So, but once you do that, the pieces that go in the rod holders are actually just straight couplers for this 1-inch PVC, and they fit perfect in here, down in these rod holders. So that's locked in there, and those are pieces right off of the shelf. I didn't have to modify anything. I know a lot of people build stuff out of PVC, and they use like a bigger piece of PVC and heat it up and cram it in there until it shrinks and fits in the hole, but those pieces fit perfect right off the shelf. And I'll show you what I mean. It's hard to see with that one, but alright, so that part comes out, And I have it like that so that when I'm loading it in the back of my truck has a canopy on it, and my kayak just slides right in there, but I have to lower this part down when I do that. So, but this is the end, the factory end that comes on PVC pipe. And if you see that it's got that bell end, and that's so that the other piece of PVC can slide into it. And if you look, I mean, it's perfect fit for that one. And I don't have another straight coupler, but this is a T. And if you see that it'll be the same diameter, and you can see it just fits perfectly down in that hole, and there's hardly any wiggle room. This goes right down in there. So the straight coupler piece without the T on it just slides right down in there perfectly, and that's how you get it to fit. So that's how it goes in there like that, and then that's what I drape my my center piece of fabric over, the blind fabric. So that's the frame all done. All right, so this is the frame all done and installed. I got my yak attack knobs on in the track. It's screwed in the front, and the front head bar thing is on back. I'm going to attempt to get in here and show you guys lifting and lowering and pedaling, but I have the rear end up on the cart and the front end on this rickety stool thing. So anyway, wish me luck. All right, so as you can see, I mean, the things are way far away from my knees, and then the drive itself, move the knob out of the way, is down in the hole, and now I can sit back and pedal, and if you see my feet, I have 4 inches of clearance between the tip of my toes, and when I'm wearing because I duck hunt in waders, and the boots on those things are massive, so it's nice and comfortable, and I have all the clearance I could need. And then when I get to the spot, you know, and I lift up my drive and I'm ready to hunt, so all that goes up. I lower my seat back like this. Oh, that's a little too far. But you could pretty much just lay out, and then I just lower myself down like this, and then the frame, now you can see why the frame stops where it does. It doesn't need to be taller, because here I can sit there and call, and I have the flaps on the blind, and I'll show you that next. On top of me, and my gun's just sitting across my lap, so when I'm ready to shoot, I just raise up, the flaps open because they're on my chest, and they just open automatically, and then you can shoot, you know, wherever you need to, and that's how it works. So that's the frame, and now I'll show you putting the blind itself on, if I can get out of this without falling. Not so bad. All right, so how I attach the fabric to this frame is just zip ties. I just disconnected it for this video, but normally I would just leave this draped over there and all tied together and just pull it off while the fabric's still on, and then store it in the off season. But I figured I would show you guys. I got this fabric off of Amazon. It's 5 feet wide, and I got the 20-foot section because I thought, you know, my kayak's 10.5 feet long. I will just run, you know, kind of like 20 feet. I could split it in half and then run it down the thing. But what I found was, if I ran it sideways over the side, I could get away with only using about 15 feet of it, because 5 foot went here, 5 foot in the middle, and then 5 foot on the back, and then I still had some scrap pieces left over. So all I did was I just took that piece, draped it over till it was as long as I wanted, and you can kind of see how it works. I just started zip tying it right down the center, hold that tight, and then I just cut the bottom with the contour line of the kayak itself. And I didn't really worry about this crinkly parts over here because they're not in the way. Everything that matters really is inside this framework where the pedal drive is. So if these sagged in a little bit, I didn't really care. It doesn't matter. Yeah, and then I went here. Then I just came through with my scissors and just cut down the body line. And if you see, I'll show a picture right here of it sitting in the water. And you can see a lot of the kayak shows when I'm not in it, but when I am in it, it's a lot closer to the water. And I haven't really found an issue. I don't think ducks are seeing the bottom edge of the kayak and freaking out. You know, by the time they get that low, they're within shooting range usually. And my original plan was to put some of that grass on here and have that hanging down to the water. So I didn't need the fabric down that low, but that stuff is expensive and it's heavy. And I don't know, I just get there. I put little bungee loops, just this shot cord, 1/8" shot cord. You can buy it in a 100-foot roll. And I just tie a whole bunch of loops of that everywhere. And then when I get there, I just take bundles of grass and start stuffing it in. And you see that in the picture. Or I just throw it on the top. And, you know, the ducks don't really seem to care about my crappy brush job. So that's the front. And like I said, I just attach it to all the points, keeping it nice and tight. Pulling it tight and then putting a zip tie, pretty much attach it. And that's it. All right, for the back piece, it's basically it's just draped over and then I just cut around the edge. But what I did do is I took this piece of EVA foam floor mat and I cut it in the shape of the tank well. Because what I had happening was every time I throw my decoys out there with the Texas rigs on them, the weights would fall through this fabric and get snagged, and then I would try to pull the decoys out and they wanted to like rip this off. So I put this on there that keeps the weights from falling through, but it also deadens the noise. Every time I put something back there, it doesn't hit the bottom of the tank well and go thunk, you know, which that sound carries a long ways on the water. So I don't have to worry about any of that. And then it just sits in the bottom. It's just cut to shape. I throw it right on top of the bungees that are here. I don't take those off because they'll just, you know, the weight of everything in here will just push them down. And then I've cut out little slots pretty much for everything. Like this goes over the rudder, like that. And I have little holes cut, you know, I just cut a couple links out of this where those rod holders are. And then this piece here goes in the rod holders, like that. And then that's pretty much it. There's also these straps that hold my seat down right here. So I just run those through. And then I snap my seat in place. Whoop, and tighten those up. And then as you can see, I mean, even though it's just laying here, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's actually holding it to the boat. So it's not going to come off and go anywhere. Even when I'm hauling it to and from the water, I just leave this on here like this and it's secure, so can't go anywhere. I do brush this in. I usually just throw a bunch of grass on top back here just to, because this fabric's, it's pretty good, but it's not like, doesn't match perfectly. So that's pretty much the whole thing. I do have a little track piece back here for mounting a camera to, and there's a slice for that. It does look like I ripped it on something. Sometimes this snags on branches and stuff, and I just repair it with another zip tie, just like I'm sewing it with zip ties. Oh, another thing is I do pull the little bungee that holds my rudder down through one of the holes, like that, and then the rudder goes down, and I can still secure the rudder for transport. All right, for the middle piece, I kind of have to zip tie it on to show you guys how it connects. So I would just go ahead and do that. But I just did the same thing. The fabric comes and it's 5 feet wide. So instead of going down lengthways, I just went across the center, and this is less than 5 feet, so I got a little bit of overlap. So once I started with the center, and this is the factory edge, and I put it right on this bar. Oh, it's caught on something. Let me get a couple zip ties on there real fast. All right, so that's kind of zip tied like it would be across this bar, and that kind of gives me a backdrop for where my head is sitting. And then on these flaps here, I have some shock cord. I know you guys can't see it, but it just gets pulled up, and I have eye hooks screwed into the PVC up here. So just wrap around that a couple times. And then that kind of gives this a hinge point for these. These are the same EVA foam floor mat that I used in the back, kind of like a yoga mat. It's not very thick, that I just have zip tied to the fabric. And that works as the layout blind flaps. And there's also another cord down here for the bottom one, and that holds, which I also loop through the front one. So it all kind of becomes one piece when it's all together. And this would be zip tied back here too. So I'll show you on that side, and then it'll look a lot better. You guys will see what I'm saying. Yeah, see there's like a little eye hook right here. So I just go through this fabric and around, pull it tight, and then that holds it in place. There'll be a zip tie back here on the bottom, holding this one in place. Just like that. And then when I'm paddling, you know, when I'm not sitting in the blind with these closed, these will sit up there like that on that frame. And then there's just this little section here for my face to stick out of. And once it's all brushed in, you know, it's pretty hidden. Just like any old layout blind. This one just only happened to cost like $50. So anyway, so when I'm pedaling to and from the place, I don't like these in the way, but what they do is I just stuff them down, straight down the sides, and they just hang like that. And I can still paddle when I need to get into the shallows, or when I'm pedaling, I can still, my rudder's right here, and the deployment arm for the rudder is right here. So everything is out of the way. But then when I get to the spot, I just pull these up, put them across my body with my gun barrels sticking up here in my lap. And then when I'm ready to shoot, I just pop open and bang, bang. And that's pretty much it. It's really simple. And it's just custom for this. It would probably work on any pedal drive because most higher end pedal drive kayaks have the track system. If you were using a Hobie, you could just pull your drive out or retract your flippers, or this would work on a native. You just have to figure out how to attach it at the front and then run it in your tracks, and then your rod holders are all going to be at different angles and different locations. So I'll leave a link for the fabric. That's pretty much the only thing I bought on Amazon besides like the EVA floor mat. I think I got that at Harbor Freight. And that's it. It worked really good. I think I might change these flaps because I can have fabric across my lap and still jump up and shoot. So I really only need the flap to open up, you know, from my waist up. So about half of this. So I'm thinking about maybe cutting these in half so that, you know, the only movement that opens up is the top half and not the whole thing. Because I have gotten my fingers and stuff caught in this extra flappy fabric here. And I want to get rid of all that. I want to tighten everything up for this next season. So I will be working on that, and maybe I'll do an update when I come up with something better. But for now, this is the whole system. Thanks for watching, everybody.